right. All right. Let's see if we in the house. What's happening, everybody? This is the first episode of what I'm calling commentary. Just a common view at common things that pop up in our everyday lives. Shout out to anybody that's taking a look. This information was presented to me from a YouTube video I saw by a great YouTuber called Tupac Hoax Reveal. I recommend you go ahead and check out what they got cracking, man. They do some great content. But this information is regarding one of the biggest artists of our generation. He's a contemporary of many of us, Lil Wayne. He just released his Carter 5. This is his first album since 2013. And, went #1. Third largest streaming week ever. Made history. So, what prompted the video was this video here. This video looks into just information presented to us about Lil Wayne and him being shot as a child, as a young teen. It's a lot of conflicting information throughout the years. The great thing about this era is that we can actually go back, pick and pride at what was said and what wasn't said, and put together our own truth. So we're going to go through this video together. Obviously, I've already watched it. But we're going to go through it, piece some things together, and just show y'all this information that was presented to me.
At the age of 12, Lil Wayne was already immersed in the chaotic and combustible world of the New Orleans streets.
By the way, this first clip is from VH1's Behind the Music. It was first aired September 10th, 2009. It was the first season, episode 208, whatever. But important thing is that it was on 9/10/2009, and anybody that was into numerology, gematria, or just dealing with numbers, that's an interesting date. Let's continue.
But on the afternoon of November 11th, 1994, his curiosity would have dire consequences.
My mom ain't get off till late. I snoop around the room, find like, damn, I found a pistol. A big line. I made a song about it. I was in there on my rap, got a gun, music blasting, thinking I'm safe, playing around. Then after that,
Wayne accidentally pulled the trigger, and the bullet tore through his chest. Laid out on the floor, he crawled to the phone and called 911.
So let's just get the facts straight. In 2009, VH1 told us in November of 94, Lil Wayne was listening to music, found a gun, shot himself. He's laid out on the floor, and he calls 911.
I was in the house. Police knocked on the door. I was right there.
Now, mind you, first episode. Apologize. I'll get my timing right on these. This clip next is from 2016. Most people probably never seen that whole interview. It was done with CBS, and in the interview, what they pulled out of that is that Lil Wayne was quoted as saying there's no such thing as racism. That was September 14th, 2016. This article was written. So the interview was roughly fall 2016. So that's 2 years ago. So 2009, VH1 told us Lil Wayne was shot by himself, called 911, November 1994. 2016.
They knocked the door down. Everybody jumped over my body to go get the guns and drugs and whatever they could find. It took one guy to stop right there.
So 2016.
I was in the house. Police knocked on the door. I was right there.
I guess.
So according to Lil Wayne in 2016, he said that he shot himself right in front of the front door, and some cops ran in and just ran over his body. This next interview is the Jimmy Kimmel Show. I was trying to find the exact date this show aired. Everything that I came up with showed it was about 3 years ago. I think it might have been a little longer, maybe about 5, because 5 years ago, 2013, was when Wayne dropped his last album. Could have been 3 years ago, though, 2015, but hey, let's get into this one. So we got 3 segments now that we can compare.
I woke up to the knocks of the police at the door.
Wow.
And so, but I was in my mom's room, and I was kind of far from the door.
So according to his Jimmy Kimmel interview, after he shot himself in his mom's room. While he was on the floor, he called 911 and heard the police at the door. But in 2016 and in 2009, he said he shot himself and was by the front door.
Police knocked on the door. I was right there.
Where did it happen?
I was like, I think I was 14.
Oh.
And I was in the crib in the house, and at the age of 12 years old.
So on Jimmy Kimmel, which could have been 3 to 5 years ago, he said he was 14. November 94. In 2016, fall, he says he was 12.
I shot myself. I was 14.
Oh.
And I was in the crib in the house, and yeah, I was watching. I could remember it was Notorious Big video on. I love it when you call me Big Pop. Yeah. I remember that.
But on the
So before VH1 got to say what they say, doggone me, my man said he was watching right before he shot himself Notorious Big's Big Papa video. Now let's find some information about Big Papa video, because how many versions of the Big Papa video was it? That's the first question you gotta ask yourself, because if he saw it as a rapper, he's popping, I guess, at the time, but maybe not. 94, maybe not. But let's go through the filmography of Notorious Big. No, we don't want to see who uses music. Big Papa video short. According to the IMDb database, that video short came out January 1995. Here's a full summary if you like. So Wayne's telling us
in the afternoon of November 11th, 1994,
he was sitting around watching Notorious Big's Big Papa video at 12 or 14 and shot himself.
Watching. I could remember it was Notorious Big video on. I love it when you call me Big Pop. Yeah. I remember that.
I'm just cross-referencing. That's all. When they present it to me, it's like, yo, let me look into that myself. Interesting.
laid out on the floor, he crawled to the phone and called 911.
Laid out on the floor, he crawled to the phone and called 911.
Everybody jumped over my body to go get the guns
16.
and drugs. It took one guy to stop right there and just cuss everybody that hopped over me out. Like, what the fuck are y'all doing? We called the ambulance. A f***ing ambulance.
So, 2016, he said he shot himself by the door. Bunch of cops ran, jumped over him, but one cop stopped. We're going to find some interesting things out about that officer.
We called the ambulance. A f***ing ambulance.
Laid out on the floor, he crawled to the phone and called 911. Four New Orleans policemen responded to the call, including an off-duty officer known as Uncle John.
So, either Lil Wayne shot himself in his mom's room, called the police, or somebody else called the police and he was by the front door. 4 officers show up, 3 of them on duty, ran right over this 12 to 14-year-old's body to look for the guns and drugs. But this one old humble officer who was off duty, by the way.
Went over to the address, 349 Monroe Street. We started checking the apartments, and when we got to his apartment, all we could hear was loud music.
I don't know, I guess something clicks in your head and told me go to the living room. He picked me up and he told whoever was driving, he's like, behind the wheel, knock.
So 2009, he was in his mom's room, kicked the door. That's how the police knew where he was at.
Looking up at him like, who are you? He said, I'm Uncle John.
Who?
That's what he told me his name was, Uncle John.
Uncle John.
Looking up at him like, who are you?
Whoa.
He said, I'm Uncle John.
2009, Uncle John.
That's what he told me his name was, Uncle John. He said, don't worry, my name's Uncle Bob.
2016,
I know a good motherfucker named Uncle Bob, though. He said, I'm Uncle John. That's what he told me his name was, Uncle John. He said, don't worry, my name's Uncle Bob. I know a good motherfucker named Uncle Bob, though.
Craig. That's all I'm saying.
And I kicked the door, and they heard me kick the door, and they opened.
We heard someone moaning inside saying they needed help. Well, we went ahead and kicked the door in.
So it was either he was 12, shot himself in front of the door, cops run in, 3 of them said, fuck that, where the drugs and the guns, and then all of a sudden Uncle Bob showed up and saved the day. Or he was 14, shot himself in his mama's room, the music was so loud the police didn't know what was going on, so he kicked the door, and then Uncle John came in and picked him up. Not saying this man was not shot or harmed at a young age, possibly brutalized at a young age. But when people are placed into society and are put in our face at such a consistent pulse, you have to question and ask, who's behind this? Funny story. This is a sidebar, and you can look this up. Gilly the Kid was on Drink Champs, and I remember Gilly talking about a situation where he was supposed to be getting paid for his work, and Birdman cut him a check. No problem. He say he stacked up a couple checks because they was out on the road or doing whatever, and when he get back to Philly or whatever, he goes to cash his checks. And the bank person's like, hey, sir, there's no money in this account. And he's like, that's insane because this is Cash Money Records. He's like, you got to try again, bitch, you tripping. And he's like, this can't be possible. So he gets in touch with Birdman. Come to find out, Birdman signed the checks in his government name, Brian Williams, instead of in the label's name, which could have been a mix-up. It happens. It happens. If it's a certain amount of man's old and it's supposed to be coming from this way instead of this way, it happens when you're dealing with a lot of stuff. So that's just an issue that you have to ask yourself. At least we know there are times where people are conducting business in a manner to where Baby's not just handing over stacks, he's writing checks. Lil Wayne hasn't dealt with this man in a business fashion for a long time, but he's a pop culture icon. He's completely 100% responsible for the drug culture in hip-hop today. You can try to blame Screw Music and Pimp C, but that was actually a regional thing for those brothers. We didn't do that en masse in other places. But if you look at the track record of this person, their content is consistent with what we see today. You can go back and reach back with anybody, but When I say their content is consistent, I have not heard the Carter 5, but I'm pretty sure there's not a single song that 37-year-old me is gonna appreciate on that album. When I can go back and listen to Lights Off and Loud Pipes and be like, that little young dude was dope. I can go back and listen to the first Carter, beginning to end, and play Go GJ Black back 3 times before I even get to where I'm from. The shit was country rap tunes. When they was making country rap tunes, I appreciated it. When this dude started making pop music for the masses, en masse, it's funny how masses and masses is like synonymous.
Were you carrying a gun then too?
Yeah, I stayed strapped. I mean, I'm
Look up Kurt Loder. If you've never, this guy Kurt Loder, look him up.
strapped right now. Like you can't go nowhere not strapped. That's life. But now I have a bigger and better reason to be strapped. So.
Did you shoot yourself with a gun at one point?
He also talks about when he was 12, coming across a gun in his mother's house and shooting himself in the chest, just missing his heart. Now, before he's called this an accident, you've heard him talk about it on songs, but on a new verse, he admits that it was a suicide attempt after his mother told him that he would no longer be allowed to rap.
Again, like I said, this dude is 100% responsible for the contributions in rap that we see manifested today throughout all these artists. All of these guys. See, don't look at the mainstream. Look at the undercurrent, that underground. Those guys that are on, but not ever going to be quite there. That's what really represents the culture. Go back year by year and see not who those hit record maker was, but who those dudes whose music stayed in the club and stayed on the radio. And you forgot about this song, that song. That really represents the total culture of what's going on when it came to hip-hop music. And when I see the dudes I see and how they've got put on and the people who represent them in media, it amazes me. It really amazes me. Because all people have to say is, it's always been this type of artist or that type of artist. That is absolutely right. But this type of artist and that type of artist was never portrayed in the spotlight as being worthy of your views, your eyes, your ears, your senses. Continue.
He was white as snow. Them motherfuckers that hopped over me was blacker than me.
Was he a cop?
Yeah, he was a cop, and my life was saved by a white man. I don't know what racism is.
Absolutely right. By the way, especially an off-duty police officer. Off-duty.
Found Lil Wayne laying on the ground bleeding from a gunshot wound in the chest.
He picked me up and he told whoever was driving, he's like, behind the wheel, knock.
They opened the door for me because I had him in my arms. I was carrying him just like a baby. He was drifting in and out of consciousness. His eyes were drifting backwards into his head.
You gave him no medical care, no nothing. Here, let me play their thing so y'all can see who this is. Shout out to Tupac. Shout out to y'all for putting that together, man. But basically, again, I'm just here to present you information that you might not come across every day on your timeline, on your feed, and in your mentions. This is Ricky Jones. This first episode of Commentary, and I'm still here.